She laughed and said, "You'll never make it without me." Those words still sting every time I think about them. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The girl I loved, the one I trusted, the one I thought was my ride or die, just threw me under the bus like I was nothing. And the worst part? She didn't just leave me, she left me for my best friend. I felt like my whole world shattered in one moment. How could someone who promised forever turn into a stranger overnight? I was blindsided, heartbroken, and furious all at once. Little did she know, while she was sneering and walking away, I had been quietly building something she never saw coming, a secret life that was about to flip everything on its head. We had been together for almost 5 years. When we first met, everything felt perfect. She was funny, smart, and beautiful, everything I thought I wanted. We clicked right away. The first 2 years were amazing. We spent every weekend together, went on trips, and talked about our future like we were unstoppable. I thought she was my soulmate. But after a while, things started to change. It wasn't sudden, but little cracks began to show. She became distant, and the way she looked at me felt different, colder, almost bored. I tried to ask what was wrong, but she'd brush it off or say I was overthinking. I wanted to believe it was just stress from work or life. Meanwhile, my best friend, let's call him Jake, was always around, and honestly, I never saw anything wrong with that. Jake had been my closest friend since college, and he and my girlfriend got along well. I thought it was harmless. Then, in the last 6 months, things got worse. She started going out more, coming home late, and texting nonstop. When I asked, she said it was work or friends. But the truth was starting to show. I caught glimpses, like secretive messages, awkward silences when I walked into a room, and sudden arguments that seemed to come out of nowhere. I could feel something was wrong, but I didn't want to admit it. I was also going through my own grind, working hard on a side project nobody knew about. It was a tech startup I kept secret because I wanted to prove myself first, without any pressure. I was barely making rent, but I had big plans. I never shared this with her because I didn't think she'd care, or worse, I thought she might use it against me. Looking back, I realize I was too blind to the signs. I trusted them both, her and Jake, and that trust cost me everything. The girl I loved was slipping away, and the friend I counted on was the one pulling her away from me. The next few weeks would change my life forever, but I had no idea how deep the betrayal ran until the truth hit me like a freight train. At first, the signs were so small I almost convinced myself they weren't real. Like the way she started keeping her phone face down on the table, or how she'd jump whenever it buzzed, quickly hiding the screen from me. I tried to shrug it off, telling myself maybe she just wanted some privacy. But the change was hard to ignore. She used to be so open, laughing at my jokes, texting me throughout the day, even sending those silly little selfies. Now, it felt like she was shutting me out bit by bit. There were nights when she'd say she was hanging out with friends, but I never met these friends. I asked once and she said, "You don't need to know everyone I hang out with." That felt weird, like a wall going up between us. I hated the tension, but I didn't want to seem controlling or paranoid. I kept telling myself I was overthinking. Jake, my best friend, suddenly seemed to know a lot more about what was going on than I did. He started dropping hints, like mentioning inside jokes I'd never heard or casually bringing up plans she hadn't told me about. I asked him if they'd been hanging out without me, and he always gave some excuse. "It's nothing, man. Just stuff she wants to keep private." But why would they both keep secrets from me? It felt like I was the last to know everything. One time, I noticed her phone buzzing while she was in the bathroom. When I glanced over, I saw a message preview pop up. It wasn't a name I recognized. She quickly locked the phone before I could see more. I felt a sharp pang of jealousy and confusion. Was there someone else? I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but my gut screamed otherwise. I tried talking to her about it, but she'd get defensive or brush me off with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You're being ridiculous," she said once. "I'm not hiding anything from you." But her actions said the opposite. The more I questioned, the more she pulled away, and the more anxious I became. It got worse when she started canceling plans last minute, or making excuses to avoid spending time together. Even on weekends, which used to be ours, she found reasons to be busy. The silence between us grew heavier every day, and I felt like I was losing her, piece by piece. One night, I caught her messaging someone with a nickname I hadn't heard before. When I asked who it was, she snapped, "Why do you care so much? Can't you just trust me?" That cut deep. I wanted to trust her. I desperately wanted to. But how do you trust someone who hides their phone, lies about friends, and shuts you out? Every little thing piled up, the secret texts, the late nights, the excuses, the distance. I started to feel paranoid, like I was living in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Was I just imagining it all? Was I overreacting? I spent countless nights staring at my phone, waiting for her to reply, hoping she'd tell me the truth before it was too late. But the truth was already slipping through the cracks. I just didn't know how bad it really was. The people I trusted the most were hiding something huge from me. And when the final pieces fell into place, it wasn't just my heart that broke, it was my entire world. The moment I found out, everything hit me like a punch to the gut. It wasn't just suspicion anymore, she had crossed the line. I walked into our apartment that night earlier than usual, and there they were. Not hiding, not sneaking around, just sitting on the couch, laughing like it was nothing. Her and Jake. My girlfriend and my best friend. Together. The betrayal was so blatant it felt unreal. I froze. My heart hammered so loud I thought they'd hear it. She looked up surprised, but not scared. Not guilty. Just smug. Like she was daring me to say something. And Jake? He didn't even look embarrassed. Just awkward. But mostly, he avoided my eyes. I couldn't hold it in. "How long?" I asked, my voice barely steady. She rolled her eyes. "Long enough. Get over it." That was the moment everything inside me snapped. All the trust, all the years shredded by those 3 cold words. I felt rage boiling over, but I kept my voice calm. "You left me for my best friend," I said slowly, letting it sink in. "Do you even realize what that means? You tore apart everything I believed in. And for what? Because I wasn't enough? Because I wasn't making the kind of money you wanted?" She scoffed. "You think this is about money? You're so pathetic." Pathetic? That hit me harder than anything else. She had no idea. I hadn't told her, but I was secretly making $500,000 a year. I was building my life quietly while she was sneaking behind my back. I took a deep breath, looking her dead in the eyes. "You left me for a lie. And you don't even know the truth. I was making more than you ever dreamed of. But you never cared about me. You just cared about what you could get." Jake tried to speak up, but I cut him off. "Save it. You betrayed me too." I told them both to get out. I didn't want to see either of them again. That night, the apartment felt empty in a way I never imagined. The woman I loved, gone. My best friend, a stranger. I was left alone with 1,000 questions and a broken heart. In the days that followed, the shock gave way to a fierce clarity. I realized I didn't need people like that in my life. I had something they never did, my own strength and a future I was building on my terms. They lost me, but I was ready to move on. Sometimes betrayal hurts so badly it feels like the end. But for me, it was just the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where I'd never let anyone's betrayal define my worth again. Because at the end of the day, I was the one who had the last laugh, and they didn't even see it coming. The dust has settled, and looking back, I realized just how much that betrayal changed me. Losing her, the girl I thought was my forever, and losing Jake, my closest friend, was one of the hardest things I've ever faced. For a long time, I felt broken, lost, and bitter. I kept replaying every moment, every warning sign I ignored, wondering if I could have done something differently. But what I learned is this: trust is everything, but it's also fragile. I gave them both my trust, and they shattered it without a second thought. It taught me to protect myself, not by closing off my heart, but by being more careful about who I let in. I've learned that sometimes, the people we love the most are the ones capable of hurting us the deepest. I also learned the power of self-worth. For years I hid my success, thinking it didn't matter, or that sharing it would change how they saw me. But maybe if I had been more open about who I was becoming, things could have been different. Or maybe not. The truth is, their betrayal wasn't about money or status, it was about character. They were never truly there for me. Now, I focus on myself. I've thrown myself into my work and my dreams. I'm surrounded by people who respect and support me, and I'm building a life I'm proud of. I'm still healing, but I'm stronger than I ever thought I could be. The pain is still there sometimes, but it's a reminder that I survived, and I grew from it. If I could give one piece of advice to anyone going through something similar, it would be this: don't lose yourself trying to hold on to someone who doesn't deserve you. Your value isn't tied to who stays or leaves. It's in how you rise after the fall. In the end, betrayal is a bitter lesson, but it's also a wake-up call. It forces you to see the truth, even when it hurts, and to find your own path forward. I'm grateful for the strength I didn't know I had. And though I never wanted it to happen this way, I'm thankful that it did, because it showed me who I really am.